you all for holding. Your lines have been placed on a listen-only mode until the question and answer portion of today's conference. And to remind all parties, the call is now being recorded. If you have any objections, please disconnect at this time. I would like to turn the call over to Miriam Chase. Thank you. You may begin.
Hello, my name is Miriam Chase. As she said, I am the Lead Government Project Officer, or GPO, for the AOT grant program. I took grants in Region 2, 6, 8, and 9. Here with me is my colleague, Ms. Folokio, who is working closely with me, and monitoring grants in Region 3, 4, 5, and also 6. We also have with us our branch chief, Mr. Devorny, who will be providing some comments. And Sarah Dayhoff, our grant specialist of the Division of Grant Management. On behalf of SAMHSA, the Center of Mental Health Services, we welcome you and thank you for your participation. We know that this webinar will be helpful to you and your staff. To this webinar, we will provide an overview of the AOT program requirements, expectations, reporting requirements, sales performance accountability and reporting systems called the SPARS, and Sarah also will provide an overview of grants management. At the end, we'll have a question and answer session, and we appreciate if you your question until the end of the program. Now, operator, I will appreciate if you unmute our participants that they can introduce themselves. I really appreciate if the project director take the lead and use the staff and also tell us which state or county they are from or which program. Thank you.
Lines are open.
Hi, Danyacham. I'm the project director for Pinellas County, Florida, with Pinellas County Human Services. And I have Elisa Di Gregorio, and she is our grants manager.
I'm Braden, project director at the city of Albuquerque in New Mexico, and we have Kathy Ambrosia, who is assisting on the grant at this time.
Kathy Wakefield. I'm with the Andrews Center, the local mental health authority in East Texas, Tyler, Texas. Our PhD evaluator, Dr. Eric Stokes, is to be on the line, as well as the assistant is Dr. Charles Barquet.
Theo? Theo? Yeah.
Going to listen-only mode.
Good. Okay, the vision for the AOT is protecting access to Medicare Act of 2014, which is called PAMO for short. Section 2.4 was enacted into law in April 1st, 2014, that authorized the creation of assisted outpatient treatment program. The Act AOT is defined as medically prescribed medical treatment that a participant or patient receives while living in the community under the term of the law, authorizing the state or local court to order such treatment. Strategy used to compel certain individuals with mental illness to receive treatment, in petitioning local courts to order individuals to enter and remain in treatment for a specified period of time. It is a commitment intended for those who suffer from mental illness and have been repeatedly hospitalized or arrested as a consequence of treatment non-adherence, as you say, non-compliance. This 4-year pilot project is intended to implement and evaluate new AOT programs, identify evidence-based practices in order to reduce the incidence and duration of hospitalization, homelessness, integration and interaction with the law, improving the health and social outcome of individuals with SMI. These individuals come before the court or judge due to severity of their mental health condition, not because they have committed a crime. AOT is not a criminal proceeding. Judges involved with the AOT program will follow their state civil commitment law. Grant funds are to be used for clients participating in AOT through civil commitment process. It works with families and courts to allow individuals who give AOT to obtain treatment while continuing to live in the community and their homes. We awarded the AOT grants to 17 agencies that began program implementation in FY 2016. So AOT grantees were awarded in 2018, which is you are, that began program implementation in October 2018. The key staff for this program is the project director and evaluator. Now here is the map of the AOT program, region by the way. And you see we have 18 grantees in 12 states. And those states are California, Nevada, New Mexico, Oklahoma, Texas, Illinois, Ohio, Kentucky, Mississippi, Alabama, and Florida. And here's GPO assignment by region, which are later on. The overarching the AOT program goals is to reduce the incidence of duration of psychiatric hospitalization, homelessness, incarceration, and interaction with the criminal justice system while improving the health and social outcomes of individuals with a serious mental illness, and allow this individual to obtain treatment while continuing to live in the community at home. We expected to implement and evaluate new AOT programs for partnership between behavioral health entities that provides an array of evidence-based treatment and criminal justice system, for partnership with courts, have in place an array of trauma-informed community-based services that will have been offered to individual prior to petitioning the individual to AOT. Program are expected to begin service delivery in the month of the project, which is February 1st, 2019. And also identify your GPO when you begin new enrollment and services. Of course, you can provide services anytime between now and February 1st, of course. But you have to, once you do that, you have to enter your data enrollment into SPARS program. And from your GPO if challenges or anything with the timeline occurred in your program. Now, before I give the microphone to my colleague for location, I would apologize for nodding the mic to our Devorny, who's our branch chief. Do you want to make some comments, please?
Just want to thank all the grantees on the phone. You know, I realized you may have been some surprise to get this email 2 years after you submitted your applications to in the program, but we are very happy to have you as a part of the SAMHSA grantee family. And, I think this is an especially important program for us. It's a priority of our leadership right now. One of the things that we are very focused on right now at SAMHSA is serving those people who have the highest need. And I think that this program especially falls squarely in that category. We have kind of a unique responsibility in this program. First, as many of our programs, we really have to use this opportunity to serve people who need a lot of help. I think that's a noble calling, but there's a dual responsibility in this program because of the nature of the civil commitment that we're undertaking, and that is we have to provide excellent services, we have to get people connected with care, and we also have to make sure that we are doing this in such a way that respects people's autonomy and in such a way that it complies with the applicable state laws and the appropriate civil commitment processes. And so, I realize that is a fine balance to strike in some cases, but, the important part is that we do our best to get people the help that they need. We do it in such a way that we can, maximize their autonomy and involvement in starting their course to their hopeful recovery. So, I think it's a tough but a very rewarding project, and I'm really struck by your dedication to it and that joining the process 2 years after you initially intended to. And, just again, we're really happy to have you on board and looking forward to our work together in the coming months and years. And just say also, you're in really good hands with Fola and Miriam. They're two excellent GPOs, and they are really dedicated to these services in this program, and they have a lot of learning about the program, too, from the first couple of years. So I think you all have a head start, and there's a lot of good, perspective that they can share as your project officers. So I won't be more. I'll let you get back to the content with Fola and Miriam, but just want to thank you again and turn it over to Fola. Thanks.
Thank you very much, David. Fola would talk about this.
Yes, hi. Thank you, Miriam. Fola Coyote, the other GPO for the AOT grantee program. So I'm just going to go into the required activities of the grant. As you see on the slide, the required activities to evaluate the medical and social needs of individuals participating in the program, to prepare and execute evidence-based, person-centered treatment plans that ensure access to treatment, including medication and or psychosocial services as indicated, and include area for completion of court-ordered treatment, and provide for monitoring of the person's compliance with the treatment plan. So those are some key things to just kind of keep in mind as you're looking into your AOT programs. More so the processes we're looking to monitor and to assess, provide case management services that support the person-centered treatment plan, and to ensure appropriate referrals to medical and home and community-based social service providers. Okay. So operate the AOT program using procedures, activities, and safeguards that protect and uphold the individual's civil and other legal rights stipulated by federal and state statutes, including the need for legal representation and adequate due process protection. To also evaluate the process for implementing AOT to ensure consistency with the individual's needs and the state law. So we are aware that, no AOT program is the same, and that you must also follow the laws of your state in regards to the law for commitments. And to participate in cross-site evaluation, including data collection, training, meetings, ongoing collaboration. And just to speak to cross-site, I don't think we have anyone here that will be participating in the cross-site, but definitely the data collection, right?
Yeah, there's, as a part of the cross-site evaluation, there's a comparison study, and right now there's no plans for people on the phone for these 3 sites to participate in the cross-site, but you'll be subject to the same kinds of data collection expectations that we have for all the grantees.
Thank you. Collect and share data with SAMHSA and the cross-site evaluation team, including individual baseline characteristics, information about the nature and intensity of services received, and treatment outcomes collected before, during, and after an individual's enrollment into the program. So we will also be asking you to collect some information and track people after they're discharged as well. And you may do that on your own sheet because SPARS doesn't allow that at this time. Engage participants and family members in the development, implementation, and evaluation of the AOT program. Okay, structure development, you may use up to 60% of the total grant award as necessary to support the infrastructure, and below are some examples. Developing partnerships with the courts, service providers, adopting and or enhancing your computer systems, management information systems, training, workforce development, supporting staff and case management positions, providing court costs, legal representation. So those are all things that we can approve and you can also use your money for. And just keeping in mind that those things still need to come through DGM and your GPO. SPARS. SPARS is our system for data collection and monitoring systems that we use here to run reports, to monitor the grantee's performance, and meeting the outcomes of our grants. So grants should set up an account with SPARS and are expected to enter your data that is viewed every quarter. So every quarter you'll be entering your IPPs, you'll enter in your NOMs in the SPARS system. There's some trainings that I think went out recently or are happening this week, and hopefully some of you have participated in those trainings or will be participating this week as they come up. Driven by government-wide requirements, SAMHSA's data strategy, commitment to performance management. So you'll definitely hear a lot more about SPARS soon. Required data in SPARS, like we mentioned before, the NOMs, the national outcome measures, those are collected at baseline and every 6 months, and then again at discharge. The IPPs, as I mentioned, you'll enter that in every quarter as well. We'll also send you additional information on how to answer those questions. We have a little cheat sheet that may be a bit beneficial just so that we can make sure everyone is understanding it and interpreting it the right way, or the same way, we should say. Set up your SPARS account. You would just send the SPARS help desk an email, which is right there listed, and also CC your GPO so that they'll know that we also in agreement that you should have access to SPARS, and they'll respond back and get you squared away. And it's not just the PDs, so anyone else that will be entering SPARS data or helping collect, maybe your evaluators, or in some cases people are using their peers to help with this, anyone, you would send their information. Environment. Okay, reporting requirements here just kind of lists out some of the things that are due. Your DIS or disparity impact statement is due November the 30th of this year, so you have a little bit over a month to get that to us. Service delivery begins, as Miriam mentioned earlier, no later than February 1st. So, but if you do start before then, please let us know, when you begin enrolling. Informatic reports. We've kind of shifted a little bit to a more yearly approach to how you would submit to us. So the next one actually wouldn't be due for another year. But we will be speaking with you regularly, in some cases quarterly, in some cases monthly, just as we see fit based off of your needs, so that we can kind of keep going knowledge, working knowledge of how you're doing and your program's needs. Additional reporting requirements, the report, as I just mentioned, your final report, which would be at the end or conclusion of your grant. That's due 90 days after you end your grant. Grant meetings, I'm sorry, let me go back. So there is, at this time, no scheduled in-person meeting approved for this fiscal year. So I know that, well, you probably didn't do a budget around that yet, but kind of keep that in mind that we don't have that schedule, and we'll let you know how and when the meetings will take place. Reading and technical assistance, you all have already received a new notice of award for an additional $25,000. That was a supplement, just giving you the opportunity to use the money to get paid on your specific needs. So please feel free to think about any kind of technical assistance that you may need, and it may be a little early for you to know exactly what you need. So you have until November the 14th, and Sarah will speak a little bit more to that as far as what we may be able to do around those dates, because I know some people probably won't know that soon. And you would do the SF424A and send that to us and DGM so that we can just see to that. Okay. So our role, the GPOs, the government project officers, the GPO is responsible for ensuring that the grant meets their programmatic objectives. GPOs are or technical staff members who are experts in their content area. So we're here just to guide you, but we're also kind of the gatekeepers of your grants, along with DGM. Our role includes providing technical assistance to the recipients of the program-specific aspects of managing the grant, monitoring recipients' project performance, evaluating achievements, and participating in site visits and other activities. Just kind of going back to that first one, we don't really do technical assistance per se, but we will help and support you and guide you to finding a TA provider that could help meet those needs. Okay, GMS, your grants management specialist. The GMS is the federal official responsible for business and financial management aspects of the grant. So in this case, it would be Sarah Dayhoff. The GMS includes providing technical assistance to the grantee on administrative aspects of managing the grant award, ensuring compliance with program and grant management statutes, regulations, and guidelines, monitoring fiscal compliance issues, and closeout. So they are keepers of everything financial. Okay, over to Sarah.
My name is Sarah Dayhoff, and I'm the Grants Management Specialist on this AOT program. Today we're going to go over a couple topics regarding grants management. So ERA Commons, the roles and responsibilities of both SAMHSA and the grantee, the notice of award, and the award, including incurring costs, post-award management, including changes to award and prior approval, reporting and monitoring, and the carryover process, and other resources. Transition to the NIH ERA Commons system, so several of our processes have changed. Be mindful of any electronic correspondence coming from ERA, which will provide guidance on how to submit continuing applications, post-award amendment requests, and FFRs. And there is a link. I'm not sure if you guys have registered your project directors or your organizations in ERA, but if you have not, this is instructions on how to do so. And this is the ERA Help Desk. They have a telephone number, and then you can submit web tickets. This is some processes of how to do certain things through ERA. We have a couple videos, and then we have some PowerPoint presentations. This is the instructions for how to submit or be your project director in ERA. There's a video on how to submit post-award actions. And there is a guide on how to respond to special conditions of the award, but we also have a PowerPoint presentation that is going to be sent out to all of you after this webinar. Application video, and then the ERA Service Desk helpline. The roles and abilities of the government project officer, as Fola said, they're responsible for the overall programmatic and technical aspects of a grant or cooperative agreement. The grant management specialist is responsible for overseeing the fiscal and administrative aspects of one or more grants or cooperative agreements. And the management officer is responsible for the business management aspects of grant and cooperative agreements. GMs are delegated to the authority to obligate SAMHSA to the expenditure of funds and permit changes to the approved award. And then on the T side, the authorized organization representative, or the AOR, is a designated representative and certifying official of the recipient organization and related to the award and administration of the award. The project director is designated by the applicant organization to the appropriate level of authority and responsibility to direct and project or program supported by the award. The official, finally, is the official point of contact for the award. Their responsibilities include cash management, maintaining adequate financial records, returning federal funds for disallowed expenditures, complying with reporting requirements, reviewing and recording financial operations, budgeting and budget review, reporting irregularities, refraining from doing business with debarred or suspended organizations. And then failure to comply with grants management and award requirements can result in being placed on drawdown restriction or other restrictive conditions. Costs should be allowable, allocable, and reasonable. Proposed budgets must contain allowable, reasonable, and allocable costs as defined under 45 CFR 75, Part 403, 404, and 405. Costs, unless otherwise authorized by program statute, are necessary and reasonable for award performance and allowable under the cost principles. Allowable costs can be to a federal award if the goods or services are in accordance with the relative benefits received. Reasonable costs are not in excess of would normally be incurred for the effort given market rates, effort in the organization's documented policies. So your budget periods, should be listed on the first page of your notice of award. The period is the total amount of time for which your award has been approved for work. Projects are divided into budget periods. Budgets are the interval of time into which a project period is divided for budgetary purposes, usually within 12 months. You guys are a 4-year project period, so that's divided into 4 different budget periods. These are just examples of, these aren't real, but so your project period is 9/30/2018, and the project end date is 9/29/2022. Recipients may charge to the grant award only allowable costs resulting from obligations incurred during that budget period. Recipients not obligate grant funds to conduct project activities after the grant support ends. You all have received the notice of award by now. If you take a look at Section 1 award data, the award calculation costs are listed by budget category. I'm pretty sure for all 3 of you, I put into the other budget category until we received a revised budget. So once we approve your revised budget, you'll see the different categories like personnel, contractual, other equipment, and the amount of this action. And then the summary of totals for all of the years is subject to the availability of funds and satisfactory progress of the project. The second, Section 2 Notice of Award is the payment management information. Recipients must request funds from HHS PSC's payment management system, or EMS. Recipients that are not on restricted status may make electronic fund transfer payment requests as often as needed, and drawn down funds must be expended within 3 business days. Recipients are required to submit quarterly cash transaction reports directly to payment management. And their help desk information, and you can give them a call. I think everybody has assigned a payment representative. Section 3 is subject to the terms and conditions and regulations listed in this section by order of precedence. And Section 5 is the special terms and conditions of award, which can include remarks, special terms, special conditions, and standard terms and conditions. The special term of award that was placed on all of these awards, as Fulham or Miriam, I can't remember, who they had discussed earlier, is the DIS, Disparity Impact Statement, which is due no later than November 30th, 2018. And then here is how to respond. So everything has to go through ERA Commons. So this would be through the terms tracker, and this was also listed directly below the DIS term on your notice of award, these instructions. But as I mentioned earlier, we're also going to be sending a PowerPoint presentation with step-by-step guidance on how to submit things through the terms tracker. And then notice of award special conditions. There can be types of special conditions in the award. Says marginal unacceptable ratings for program narrative section, participant protection concerns, revised budget, indirect cost rate, SAM.gov exclusion, or other. And the same thing, you would have to respond through the ERA Commons term tracker. And conditions of the award, these have to be removed by a subsequent notice of award in order for them to fully be removed. Conditions, we normally send out correspondence from ERA to the recipients, typically during like December or November, just with further instructions on how to submit your continuation application and everything you need to include. The non-competing continuation application must be submitted electronically through ERA Commons around the beginning of March. Date is not set yet, but this is typically the time frame we do set it around. And to submit an FY 2019 continuation application in ERA Commons, both the organization and the project director must be registered. For postal management, prior approval is required for the following. This list is limited to, so if you want to check our SAMHSA website, we have other prior approval items. But examples are significant rebudgeting, which would equal over 25% over your total approved award for that year, transfer of substantive programmatic work to a contractor, change of key staff, change percent of level of effort of work of key personnel by 25% or more, altering renovations, change in scope, change of contractor or subrecipient, cost or low-cost extension of the budget or project period, a cost exceeding $25,000 per unit, deviations from restrictions / conditions of the notice of award, and carryover authority. Link to our SAMHSA website, which has a more detailed list of all the things I need prior approval from. Requests are submitted through ERA Commons as a post-award amendment. Prior approval is defined as written consent or issuance of a notice of award by the GMO in response to a written request from the recipient to incur a specific direct or take other action that requires such approval. Writing by grants management by letter or NOA is considered valid. No other written or verbal approval will be binding on SAMHSA. And below is a link to ERA Commons to submit a post-award amendment, and then here is a video with step-by-step guidance on how to submit a post-award amendment in ERA Commons. Due dates, like I mentioned before, the continuation application is typically due around March, but this could also change, so be on the lookout for guidance that we send through ERA, or you can check our SAMHSA website. The requests are typically due with the annual FFR, so in this case, carryovers and FFRs will not be due until December 2019. Programmatic reports, again, are also due no later than December 30th, 2019, and will be submitted through the ERA term tracker and 90 days after the end of the budget period. And the federal cash transaction reports are due to payment management 30 days after each quarter. Finance transaction report and payment management, the reporting frequency is 30 days of the calendar quarter, January 30th, April 30th, July 30th, and October 30th. If the report is not submitted on or before the due date, funds may be restricted automatically in payment management. Financial report or the SF 425. The reporting frequency is annually, usually due 90 days after the end of the 12-month budget period. FFR reports funds awarded, authorized, spent, and unobligated balance on a cumulative basis. Must be entered directly into the ERA Commons system. Instructions on how to submit a federal financial report via ERA Commons is available in this link below. Some grants, all requests must be submitted through ERA Commons. A sample budget is listed on our SAMHSA website under the continuation page. So I know all of you had a special condition on your award for a revised budget. So looking for some further guidance for a sample budget, you can find that here. In order to determine whether costs are allowable, allocable, or reasonable, please explain how expenses were determined or calculated. And a list of a lot of resources like videos through ERA or SAMHSA website for guidance or PowerPoint presentations, the 45 CFR cost principles, and the HHS grant policy statement. And then the information, Miriam Chase, Fola Coyote, and Sarah Dayhoff.
Hey, thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Thank you, Sarah, for that elaborate, wonderful guideline. Of course, the recording of this webinar, along with the terms author in ERA that Sarah just talked about, will be sent to you later on. And a lot of information to remember, so hopefully we will, little by little, help you to send reminders. We also send you a cheat sheet for the IPP indicators and the reporting requirement timelines to remind you of important dates and activities related to the grant are right now on those timelines, and when it's completed, we will send it to you. And information about the SPARS training that will be conducted tomorrow has been sent to you before, and we really appreciate and strongly recommend that you and your staff participate, ask questions. There has been another training conducted in September 25th, and you also have been invited to that. I hope some of your staff have participated. I have to remind you that the FY International is conducting the AOT cross-site evaluation. As Fola and David touch on that, grantees are expected to work very closely with RTI team, and he must collect data on AOT program participants for multiple purposes, including the cross-site evaluation team and conducting local evaluation that will be submitted to SAMHSA and incorporated into cross-site evaluation. There will be an evaluation webinar for you and the rest of the grantees in early November. Your evaluator and PD are expected to attend. You can invite any other staff to participate as you wish. Please kindly send me the contact information for your evaluation or evaluator, rather, an evaluation team, so you can be invited for this webinar. You will receive more information about this webinar from RTI team in the near future. Now we are opening up to the questions.
Thanks. At this time, if you would like to ask a question, please press star one. Please mute your phone and record your name clearly when prompted. If you would like to ask a question, please press star one. I do have one moment, please. Yes, ma'am. Ken, go ahead. Your line is open.
Thank you. I have I believe, 3 questions. First question is, will we get a copy of this presentation?
Just mention that you will be getting a copy of the slide, hopefully the recording, but if not, the slide presentation. You will receive it with the PowerPoint presentation that Sarah just talked about.
Thank you. My next question is, are medications an allowable expense under this grant?
Medication is not, but unfortunately, but I will let Sarah weigh on that.
In the funding opportunity announcement, I think it's on the, there's 2 documents. I think it's on document 2. It lists the funding restrictions. something in there. So I would go and look at it, and then if you have further questions, you can contact us.
Then also, it is expected that the grantees, because of the target population, they facilitate to apply for Medicaid or Medicare, and are mostly eligible to the Medicaid criteria. So then that will pay for the medication, psychiatric medication. But Sarah will get back to you on that.
The last question is, would you mind sending the notice for the training tomorrow again? I don't believe we saw that.
It has been sent. Who is this? May I ask?
This is Gatcham with Pinellas County.
I think that was sent to Daisy.
Okay.
Okay, I will send it to you. But let me explain something. Because you are not officially the program director or project director, so you don't have the legal binding with the SAMHSA. And Daisy on your program is the official project, and her name is on the grant, and it goes with all the project director as a key personnel. So usually, normally just communicate with those responsible staff. Their name is on the grant application or on the notice of award. That's why I don't believe we have your name as an official person. That's why you didn't get this correspondence, unfortunately.
And as a question, please press *1. And our next question is from Ellen.
With the city of Albuquerque. And this may be a little too individualized for this, I'm not sure, but in our notice of award, we had turned to an unacceptable rating for Section D, staff and organizational experience, and it asks us to discuss level of effort for all key staff members and the experience of the key staff members. Is that specific to the key personnel of the project director and evaluator, or is there anyone who would be working directly in the program?
Well,
Would be, we go by the members identified in the funding opportunity announcement, which is the project director and the evaluator.
Okay, so that's really helpful because we thought it was more that we had to include. We'll just provide information for the project director and
okay. Make sure, Ellen, to specify a level of effort, which is very, very important.
This is David DeVorney. I just wanted to jump in on that question about the medications. And so I did find the exact language from the FOA. And the restriction is that you're not allowed to pay for pharmacologies for HIV, antiretroviral therapy, sexually transmitted diseases, or sexually transmitted illnesses, tuberculosis, and hepatitis B and C, or for psychotropic drugs. So that's the...
Thank you, David.
And to ask a question, please press *1. Just one moment, please. Questions at this time.
Well, thank you so much for participating, and we hope that this has been a helpful presentation to you. As Fola and everybody said, we'll be in ongoing communication with you, and we hope that you will be as well. And looking forward to have you on the SPONSE training tomorrow, and I will send you the information for those who request it. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
This does conclude today's conference. You may disconnect at this time.